Okay, welcome to this special Friday, March 31st morning edition of the Simsbury Board of Selectmen. This is a virtual format only, and we always start with the Pledge of Allegiance, so we'll do it right here now. Please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I don't see anybody here for public audience. Nope. So we'll just jump right into Selectmen action. The first item up is the appointment of the interim town manager from May 1st to June 1st. We have Chief Nick Bolter on the call, who will be stepping in for the month. And we've all given our agreement on this, or we're going to vote on it. We have the police commission, I believe, has weighed in and said that they are in favor of this and support this effort. And if anybody has any comments or questions on this, this will be from May 1st to June 1st until Lee Erdman is available and after Maria Capriola leaves. So any questions? So I'll ask for a motion to appoint Nicholas Bolter to the position of interim town manager effective May 1st, 2023 to June 1st, 2023, and further move to increase Mr. Bolter's salary to $173,749 on an annualized basis during his interim appointment as town manager, and that his other employment related benefits as an unaffiliated non-union employee remain in place.
I'll move that. And Chief, I just wanted to say thank you for stepping into this role.
I'll second. Thank you, Chief.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, so
Aye.
Chief. The next item is, okay, the ag lease for Community Farm. This has been an effort between the Department of Agriculture, now that Gifts of Love has left, and an effort to keep the 5 farmers working and growing there. Both Tom and Bob D have been involved in this. I don't know if Tom or Bob want to weigh in on this.
Yeah, this is a memorandum of understanding between the Department of Agriculture and the town of Simsbury. As you may be aware, Gifts of Love would like to terminate their lease early. They're actually on a lease until November 30th, 2023. And for their own internal reasons, they've decided they don't want to go forward with a renewal. And in fact, they'd like to relinquish their rights under the lease permanently. And we've been working with the Department of Agriculture to have them assist the town in managing these 5 farmers who have been farming a portion of the land. And this document is simply the agreement between the town and the department and that defines the roles and responsibilities going forward. And the farm licenses, which we will enter into with the 5 farmers, will expire on November 30th, 2023 to give the board flexibility in entering into a new lease with a new entity. It does provide for extension of that because, you know, sometimes things take longer than we anticipate. But the goal is to get a new permanent lessee on the property to run and maintain the farm. So this is just a stopgap until November 30th that will allow these 5 farmers who the Department of Agriculture strongly supports because of the mission they have to continue to farm on the land with the department's assistance.
And I guess I would just add, you know, it's important to keep the farm in operation. With this change, the town staff is going to have a little bit more coordination, especially in this first year, to make sure some of the work that was being done by the Gifts of Love farmer is still getting done. There's some areas of mowing, and there's some other areas that we're going to have to work closely with Department of Agriculture to make sure the right things are getting done and that they're assigned to the right people.
Hey, Tom. So that's the new piece here, because originally we didn't really do that, right? I mean, we're adding some responsibility to the town.
That's correct.
And does that impact staff, finances, or anything like that on our side?
There is going to be some level of effort associated with that, which is going to be a draw on public works staff. One of the challenges right now is identifying what items need to be done, what items, I guess there's need to be done and should be done. And so as soon as this is executed, I think we're going to have a number of meetings with both the farmers and the Department of Agriculture to make sure that we have clear roles and responsibilities going forward.
So just to continue that thread, is there any risk that the Department of Agriculture, doesn't meet the agreement level, which, from the very beginning, they had stated that they would really step up and take this on?
Well, they have till November 30th to prove themselves. If they're not doing what they say they would do or not doing it at the level that we find acceptable, then we simply won't redo anything, the MOU going forward. The MOU also calls for ground farmland licenses with the farmers, which are have been prepared, and probably bring those to the April meeting for your review and consideration. But at least this will, if you vote on this today, it'll allow them to get started on the spring planting season.
Mm-hmm. Is there, and I read it, but I just want you to tell me, so I don't have to look for it. Is there a termination, like if they don't meet their end of the deal, either DOA Ag or the farmers, that we can just end this?
Yes.
Okay. And anybody else?
I have a question. The produce that is grown on the farm, doesn't a portion of that, like I think in the past, typically, like some of that has gone to the Simsbury food pantry, because there are some requirements that I think what is grown there be used in those ways. Can somebody address that?
Yeah, that's why the Department of Agriculture is so interested in supporting these farmers, because that's their mission. Their mission is to provide food for, the term used in the deed is the poor of Simsbury, but also for other urban areas that don't have access to fresh food. And I guess from what we're told, these 5 farmers have been doing a pretty good job of producing a material amount of food for underserved communities, including those in Simsbury.
Right. I just wanted to make sure we pointed that out, because I know that's, been mentioned before about how that farm is used, and that is a requirement of the farm. Absolutely. And that is going to continue under this agreement. And that's part of the reason why we want to proceed with this, and also to support the farmers in this program. I know they really wanted this to continue even after Gifts of Love terminated their lease. So I'm really appreciative that we've been able to work with them and keep this going, because I think that it's a good program. I'm also happy to see that it says they use organic growing practices. So that's good as well. So thank you for your work on this.
So Bob, in their subleases, I think, is that the place where we would try to put actual quantities, targeted quantities to provide to social services?
Well, we could. That would be the place to put it, not necessarily here, because the license agreements are directly between the town and the farmers. It has all of the organic protocols in it. We put that in all our farm leases. But yeah, we could do that, Tom.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Tom, one more question. Will we be seeking, will we be trying to find somebody for the November date while they're still here, in the effort that we could get a long-term person?
I think we have an option here to essentially try before we buy with Connecticut Department of Agriculture. If they're going to be able to run a program at the farm, and they have some exciting programs that they would like to run, specifically related to getting non-traditional farmers land to farm in the state of Connecticut. And this could be the place that houses that program. At the same time, it may be that this is not a good fit, in which case we would be looking to go out to a request for proposals and looking at another entity to take over the farm long term.
Okay. All right. So,
Tom, do you have any idea of what the situation is with the structures, what the current condition is of the structures on the property. And it also mentions that there's indirect cost, which I think Wendy spoke to a little bit, but for staff. But do we have an estimate of what those indirect costs will be?
We don't have a good estimate on what the staff time is going to be right now. It's a new setup. And again, I think when we have some of these initial meetings, it's going to help us kind of flesh that out. The other thing you had asked about is the condition of the buildings. The cow barn, as it's referred to, is in rough shape. There was an attempt made by somebody other than town staff to try to take down some of the boards on the side of the building to like rework it. That mission got stopped mid-progress for whatever reason. They were never authorized to do it. Since then, the town has actually gone up and tarped it just to make sure we had a weather-tight building. But one of the things we're hoping to do in April, once Gifts of Love has truly vacated the property, is to go out and assess what needs to be done and cleaned up.
And then there will be an agreement going forward where, this is the role of the town to care for these buildings and not for them to fix.
Yeah, and I think the other thing we're hoping with Department of Agriculture is to leverage this for some grants for some of the larger structural repairs that need to be done out there.
Yeah,
Oh, great. That would be wonderful.
they've expressed an openness to doing that.
They did.
Actually, an enthusiasm for doing that. So that's all good.
We would welcome that.
Yes.
Okay. So as for a motion effective March 31st, 2023, to authorize town manager Maria Capriola to execute the memorandum of understanding between the town of Simsbury, the Connecticut Department of Agriculture for administrative services related to short-term farm leases for town farm as presented. Further move to authorize the town manager to execute ground licenses with the farmers specified in Section A of the above referenced agreement as approved to form by the town attorney.
So moved.
We will send you copies of those licenses once we have them signed.
Okay, we're looking for a second.
Sure, I'll
Second.
Oh, go ahead, Eric.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, next up is the exciting.
Wendy.
Oh, yeah.
It's Chris. Hey, yeah, I didn't want to stop the conversation relative to just taking action on this particular situation we find ourselves in. But I think the bigger picture here it's bubbling under the surface is the viability of the farm in general. And I think that the town has to take a long, hard look at, in my opinion, the town should take a long, hard look at strategically long-term, what are we going to do with that farm? I understand that it is governed by covenants, certainly for its usage, but just by definition of the terminology that we often use and what is in those covenants, I think it's a bit outdated and outmoded. And it just sort of speaks to, is it really relevant today as it was originally intended to? And if we're continuing we find ourselves in this situation today, I understand it's a bridge period because we've got a failing operator, not in a negative way, but a failing operator. And we've got some tenants, if you will, that just can't be thrown out. But long term, is there a point where we cut and run and redesign and use that purpose for flat out open space? Or is it actually something that can be productive with a minor investment? Because I think we're just going to find ourselves in this never ending circle of an open question of its true viability without a blank checkbook. And I think it's just a difficult decision, not a comfortable conversation, but something we have to own up to as we sit here and nickel and dime about whether we should increase taxes by $7 or $11 to cover three critical current positions that service town needs that impact multiple residents versus the investment that's going to be taken to keep that project viable, which really serves, I'm not quite sure, a really common in current structure and mission. This is my thoughts.
Thanks for sharing that. Next up is the on-demand battery storage for the WPCF, and it's an exciting topic that I will let Tom talk about. This was timely, right? We needed to get this done sooner than later, which is why we're doing this morning also.
I guess I'll just tee it up for Tony, but
Tony, sorry, Tony.
That's okay.
No, I think we have an opportunity to participate in a state program where we would put a large battery system at the water pollution control facility. I know a few of you have seen the plant. It is a giant machine. It uses an enormous amount of electricity despite our best efforts to conserve. This battery system will save us roughly 10% per year on our electricity used at the facility, which is in the range of $275,000 a year. Relatively benign system. It's going to provide benefits to Tony. There are some contractual requirements. The company that's going to be administering this program is part of the CCM program, Connecticut Conference of Municipalities. That's how we selected the vendor. And I don't know, Tony, if you want to talk about some of the specifics about the first year of design and how we are going to be in a exclusive arrangement with them.
Yeah, this company will come in and do all the engineering at their own costs. In the agreement, there's a potential of up to $6,000 if for any reason we back out of the program, that we say it's not going to work for us. We'll have to pay them for their engineering time. But again, that would come out of the sewer use fund anyway. It wouldn't come out of the town coffers at all. But again, the program, it's a long, probably about a year and a half to get the whole program up and running. It's basically as Tom said, it's a big battery. It's about the size of a shipping container. That's how big it'll be. And it's the non-disclosure type of items are for the software controlling part. They don't want us trying to go in and steal the software for operating the system. Not that we want to do that anyway, but like I said, they're going to maintain the system for the 10 years. If we feel after 10 years we want to redo the program, we can redo the program after 10 years, or they can come in and take it out and we start over. So again, it's no cost to us, no maintenance on us, no time from us. They maintain everything. If there's a problem, they come in and fix it. So it's a win-win for everything if we get it approved.
What you have in front of you are two things: the non-disclosure agreement, which we have worked with the vendor to make sure that it complies with the Freedom of Information Act, and as Tony says, all they're really concerned about is their proprietary software, which we won't even have access to. And they understand that anything we do in this project that creates documents that are subject to the Freedom of Information Act, we have an obligation to disclose non-exempt documents, and they're okay with that, and that's reflected in the non-disclosure agreement. The other document is a letter of intent, which they need in which to apply to the program. No guarantee they'll get awarded the project, but this gives them status to apply for it. And it's non-binding. It does lock up the site for a year, but in talking to the vendor, he said it takes that long to get it through Eversource. There will be a definitive agreement if everything goes as we hope it does, which will come before the board again in a future date. And as Tony says, if they put a large amount of money into the engineering and we back out at that point, we will have to reimburse them for their costs, but the costs are capped at $6,000. This is a green energy project because although it will supply energy to the WPCA, it also will, I believe, supply energy to the grid. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, guys, but that's really the purpose behind the program.
It could have the potential to provide energy to the grid as well, yes.
So we've gone through the documents. We're comfortable with the revisions that we've asked them to make. They made our revisions, and I think it's in good shape for action today.
So is there anything at all, Bob, that in this contract at all that stands out as unusual or to you, or is it?
No, they originally gave us their standard commercial contracts, and that's why we had to work with them a bit to make them applicable to a public entity. But, the letter of intent, again, is just a document that gives them the standing to be able to tell the funder that they do, in fact, have agreement with the town that if the grant is awarded, that the town is willing to go forward subject to approval of the final agreement. So I'm comfortable with the documents as revised.
And I just have I actually think this is a great opportunity, and I'm completely in for it. I just have more of a out of curiosity question of how the economics really work. So, what really is the split? It's showing around 264,000 as an energy savings for us. But how do the economics really work in the whole picture and their end?
I mean, Heather, I think I kind of had the same question. My question, and maybe this is what you're getting at, is like, what is the benefit to them because it seems like we're getting a benefit by having this battery and we potentially get the energy savings, but what are they getting in return other than, I guess, a place to put it, to install it, and they want to see how it works or something?
Well,
Yeah.
I think my question was more along the lines of, I think they're sort of a conduit or a middleman. And so my question's more, so is our savings, is that 5% of the overall? Do they make millions from it? I guess my question is, is this something over time that we would want to shop based on percentage of savings that we're getting versus the whole picture of savings?
No, I think I know exactly where you're going. And this is a new type of program, and it is somewhat complicated. And what they're really doing is the battery is allowing the plant to use power from the grid at times where it's less valuable. Oftentimes we think in the summer about conserving electricity on super hot days in the middle of the day because the grid there's not enough power plants to provide enough energy for what's being used. So at those periods during the day, the plant is going to run on the battery. And in the middle of the night, when everybody's sleeping, that's when the battery is going to be charged. And in doing so, we are reducing our demand rate, which is a huge portion of our electricity bill. And basically, so we're buying electricity when it's cheaper and easier, and it also benefits the overall grid. To your question in terms of how much money is the company that we're working with going to make, that's where I guess we are trusting to a certain extent the procurement process that was done by CCM. They did a competitive, and they do a lot of their the energy for the different municipalities, and they did a competitive program to select the firm that they thought was best. But to the best of my knowledge, we're not seeing exactly what percentage they're making. And we had some discussions on this internally, and to a certain extent, we're saying, wow, we have the chance to save 10% on our largest electricity bill with very little risk to the town. And it's a new program that's worth investing in.
But those are legitimate questions to ask them
100%.
to the point of the definitive agreement. It's a fair question to say, well, we know what we're getting. What are you getting? And then we can make a judgment whether the proportions are equitable.
Right. But their upside came through their negotiated contract with CCM. And we as a municipality are kind of benefiting from that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are also looking at this. It's a little early, and when we may not be able to fit into the program, we're also looking at this for some of our other facilities, including town hall.
Yeah. And I suppose it probably isn't feasible for every municipality to be individually maybe negotiating this, which is why having CCM select someone makes more sense.
Yeah, but to Bob's point, I think we will certainly do our due diligence. And if we got to a point we found out that going out on our own, and we do have internal skill sets, if we did need to do that, if there was truly a significant benefit going with another firm, we could do that. And that's part of our opt-out option.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, if there's no other things, I'm gonna read the motion. Move effective March 31st, 2023 to authorize Town Manager Maria Capriola to execute a letter of intent with Clean Peak Energy for an on-demand battery system at the WPCF as presented, and further move the authorized Town Manager Maria Capriola to execute an agreement with Clean Peak Energy for an on-demand battery system at the WPCF as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, and the last item is a proposed public gathering permit for the Western Connecticut Orienteering Club Park Day. Looks like a fun kind of thing to do, I thought.
I'm gonna head out to my 9 o'clock meeting.
Are we doing a meeting after this or not?
I know she put it on the agenda. I can't. I have to go give a presentation at 9 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So anybody have any questions, comments on the Western Connecticut Orienteering Club? Okay. Move effective March 31st, 2023 to approve the public gathering application on behalf of the Western Connecticut Orienteering Club and to authorize the issuance of the public gathering permit.
So moved.
Thanks.
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Then that's all that's on the agenda. So looking for a motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thanks. Have a
everybody.
good weekend.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.